Good morning, everybody. This is Richard back at you. We got Miss Teresa on the camera. Still kind of no thumbs up yet, right, Miss Teresa? Not yet. We got Miss Annie in the house again. Always in the house. We've got our first tranny built out of the 5 or 6 that we're going to be doing. I keep getting calls on doing these, so I don't think it's ever going to stop for a little while. This is a 700. It's going to go in the 70 model Chevelle. The Chevelle is not here yet. This is a 69 Chevelle. We've already done it, 4-speed, rear end, all kinds of crazy stuff. But the Chevelle is not here yet. When he brings it, then we'll install it. Because we're going to be installing all these overdrives except one, which is this one right here. Michael and Brennan and them are going to be putting this in a 55 Chevy truck. I think it's actually 55 Chevy truck by hiding the old vintage Hemi. Remember me talking about the Hemi motor in the other video? Now this is a 4L60 here. This is a 700. We had a really good video out on this one, on the lockup system, all kind of crazy stuff on this one. These trainings are going to be built almost identical on the 5 I do, except maybe the programming in the valve body on the hydraulics part that makes it actually work, shift, and how it feels and stuff like that. So we got a lot going on. We want to thank Wayne for the screwdrivers. He watched our other video. I guess I lost this one, couldn't ever find it. Finally found it, and I'm only down to one. So Wayne, I want to thank you for sending me the Matco screwdrivers and the snap-on screwdrivers. Really appreciate that a lot.
He said he was sending them so he'd have some extras to lose.
Well,
is what his note says.
I mean, it's crazy. I probably lost 100 of these screwdrivers in here, and this place ain't that big, so I don't know where they go.
Yeah.
I don't know where they go. I ain't figured that part out yet. But anyway, let's get this apart really quick. Now, this has been rebuilt before, possibly. It doesn't have an aftermarket torque converter in it. This isn't a factory GM. It does have the torque converter bolts with. That's a plus. Clean them up and reuse them in our other converter. Now, this one here, we are going to be putting a B&I 2500 SS stall converter. That's laying here on the bench right here. A lot of these units that I do the 2500. The big block Chevelle is going to do the 2500. The Hemi is going to do the 2500. I'm doing a Nova for Don at Panhandle Performance Engines. His son got a big block in it. We're going to be putting one in it. So, man, I got my hands full. Donna, Teresa. They're coming from everywhere. I'm hunting cores down, let me tell you. I get up every morning just hunting them down. I talked about the TV cable. Anytime you buy a new TV cable, they had some really bad ones out there a long time ago, that if you can't tie this in a knot and still make it work and it go back on its own, you cannot use that cable. This cable has to be a really free floater. Okay? Always keep your little 10mm bolt. That way when you put your new cable on, you have it. Like I said, I'm going to install this one. I'm not installing, but all the others I am. I'd rather install all of them, because all these units nowadays, they're very expensive, and you don't want nothing to go wrong. Now this speedometer here was a gear over electronic, where the this one here is going to be a cable only. So it's going to have, actually we're waiting on them to come in. We just ordered 2 kits. And man, they're expensive, guys. When you buy the kits that you have to buy the bullet, you're talking about $140, $150 per unit just to get the speedometer right in these vehicles. They're expensive. But like I said, this is a gear over electronic. Now it could have had a reluctor here. It could have had a reluctor here, and then it could have been electronic with no gears. You notice this gear here, it ain't even on there no more. It come off. A lot of times if these get hard to turn, it can, if this system starts binding up or something, it can shove that off there. Of course, we have our little cap here that keeps all the oil from going into the yoke. Let me show you here on this one. Well, I got one for this one here too, but this here basically keeps oil from climbing up through the splines and coming out the little weep hole in the yoke. That way the yoke can breathe when the yoke goes in and out. You do have a seal here that will come in your kit. When I put these on, I always silicone them back on. Get that off there. Normally these are a little harder to get on, and actually this isn't the right gear for this unit. This is more for, I believe, like a 200 maybe, something like that. This weird gear. I already put all my gears up to show you from my kits that some of the leftover parts that I had in some kits. But normally the gear it looks like this on both sides. It don't have that dimple. That's why that's come off. Wrong gear. You notice this has 2 holes. That's designed to line these 2 gears up. 99.99% of them always go in the inner hole to get the gear lined up in here. And of course, our governor right here, if you notice, see how far that moves back and forth? That's way too much. This governor gear should move probably about 20 or 30 thousandths, about just like that. If this gets to moving too far, it can actually bump the cover off. That's why they put a clip here, GM did. Then they quit putting the clip there. Sometimes you'll have the hole here and you won't have the hole. Sometimes you won't have the part down here on the bottom that holds the clip. So not all of them come out with a clip to hold the cover on. So you want to get that adjusted so it can't beat the cover off. And this cover, you don't even have the O-ring on it. This cover in your overhaul kit will come with the O-ring you can put here and then put it on. I don't use the O-ring. I always silicone my cover on. That way, when you put it on there, it's a lot harder for the governor to knock it off. Now, what you can do to set your governor, see that little dimple right there? Just say if you put it in and it's too tight, you can take like probably about an 18, put over that hole right there, or over that dimple, and flatten that out a little bit, knock it down, okay? Once you do it, you put it on, now your governor is going to move in and out a lot. You're going to put this together, and then you're going to take and just barely, what's this? I'm just going to stick that on there just a little bit. See how far that governor moves? What you're going to do, you can take a hammer with a ball on it right here, put it right here, tap that in until you take that up. See how I took that almost all the way up? You're going to take it up just a little bit more. See, look at that. Nice. It barely moves. That's how you want to set that. Okay. Always silicone your cover on though. That way, especially if you don't have the clip, clips are hard to find. That way it doesn't ever come off. If you notice here, this governor gear is totally wore out in this middle. The gear is really, it's square end or flat here on this end here, but if you notice how sharp it is in the middle. And a lot of times these gears will start rocking, or this piece here rocks on the body. You can grab it and rock it. So you want to make sure all that doesn't happen, and then change your gear, polish it up really good. Now your Transgo kit, always, if you're installing one of these, make sure you always read your instructions really well, because a lot of them come with governor springs, okay? And why they supply the governor springs is because of the gear ratios in these cars. Like the Chevelle I'm doing is a 373 gear, 28 tall tire. The pickup I'm doing is a 410 gear with a 27 inch tall tire. So you've got to calculate speedometer and governor weights and springs to get this train to actually shift right because the combination is so far off. A lot to it. So always read your instructions. I actually tell you, like this one at 700 I did, the shift kit was a little bit different for that one than it is with the 4L60 that Raymond sent me. So I always go on there and study that stuff. Makes it a lot easier, a lot less time when you're on the bench. But that one there I got probably 15 hours in, just assembling that transmission, 15 hours.
I cannot believe I can see a wasp.
I don't know how they survive. Look at that wasp right
I
there,
know,
guys.
kill that.
Here, buddy.
No, don't
Yeah.
do that. Are you kidding?
Or it looks like it's got threads in it too, like somebody tapped it to put a sensor in fourth gear right there, maybe for lockup or something like that. The lockup plug to me doesn't look like it's ever been used. But there's definitely a lot easier way to go about doing that. You can see here this cover's got a hole in it and it's been tapped for a sensor. So what I do, if I'm going to not run the wiring in the pan and run lockup, I put my sensor in the fourth gear circuit here inside. I don't put it in the cover.
Yeah, make sure. Now you got to kill it.
Oh, he's mad now.
Yeah, kill it with your hammer.
I'll let him swim a little bit. So
That's my phone ringing.
Oh,
over
okay,
there.
I thought it was
Yeah,
an early.
that's what that is.
Okay, if you notice here too, guys, we just have a factory servo here. Now on that one there, we put the Sonex intermediate and the Sonex overdrive servo. On this Hemi truck, we're not going to be doing that. We're going to be putting the Corvette servo only. Now, anytime you run a wide band and you try to install this, it will lock the band down instantly. You have to do some pin adjustments. I never run this at all. I set it up, put it in there, and then set my band clearance. A lot of stuff, just read your instructions. Like I said, that's the main thing on these transmissions. Read your instructions. You look here, that doesn't look like that's been ever hooked up. Now if you notice here, we have a power wire tied into the very driver's side front corner of this plug right here, and that will go to a key on power that will go to your brake pedal, to your brakes or your vacuum switch, and to your ignition. That way we'll have everything operating for the lockup. We'll have vacuum that'll turn it off going up a hill. We have brake pedal release when we touch the brake. I mean, all that type of stuff. So it'll work just like normal. When I took that one apart in that last video, guys, I nicknamed that Tutti Frutti because believe me, that thing had everything in it that didn't belong. That's why it took me so long to build it. Here's our pan on this here. So you never know what you're getting when you get a core. Let me show you something here too, guys. When they put this pan gasket on, this is why I never use silicone on a pan gasket. And also this pan gasket, believe it or not, I've seen guys flip it over and put it on. If you plug up this fourth gear hole, that's exhaust right here, you don't have no fourth gear. They put enough silicone on there, look at that. Right over the top of that hole. So if you plug that hole off right there, you will not have fourth gear. It will not like it at all. And of course, I never use the cheap pan gaskets. Never a rubber pan gasket. Always a cork. I like to put them together, break them in on a paper gasket, and then when I do my final adjustments, then I'll switch it over to a cork. This filter will interchange with a 700 460. They're both the same filters. You don't always get your neck seal out. You don't want to ever stack that. If you notice here, They did some crazy wiring going through this fourth gear switch here.
Hey, this one has wiring. That other one had none.
It didn't have nothing. So what they got here, let me follow it. They got power. Since this is a single ground, a lot of these lockup solenoids, and let me go grab one really quick. Hopefully I got one over here. And I might not have one over here. Normally I have them laying everywhere. Okay. But anyway, those lockup switches, they could be a ground, or you have a ground, or they'll have a ground wire. So that's how they're getting away with just running a power wire. This little wire right here, off the top of this, would have a wire coming over and you'd have a ground. And then what I'd do is I'd run the power to a key onto the switch here, and then I'd run my ground wire over to my fourth gear switch. Okay. I didn't get one of them out neither. Let me show you. I've been really busy. And you can buy these switches from Transtar. They're just like a 44 PSI switch. Right here. And I tie that in there, and that'll be run through a ground. Okay, this will ground it. And when this comes on, it grounds it to the body. See, this is grounded to the solenoid, and they just run a power. So I like doing it that way. It works a lot better. You'll have a yellow bolt right here by this forward accumulator. Remember, our other transmission didn't have this stuff here. Now I will save, well, my new solenoid's a fifth all, so it'll come with just two prongs here. You screw your wires on. But I'll redo all this stuff. I have to use this plug right here, so I'll trim this wiring up and stuff and clean it up where I can use some of it. Because I still have to use this plug, and I don't want to have to remake that. Now this linkage here, it should have the little dimple on it. Remember on the other linkage I showed you? And it should have a check ball down in here. See that dimple? This one does have a check ball down in that hole. Can you see it way down in there, Teresa? You see that way? Yep, there it is down in there. See? Remember our other tranny had this here to lift the ball up, but it didn't have the ball. It had a stud built into the case where you couldn't put a ball in there. And I just like that air so much better. It's so much faster. None of this valve body, plate, case, or anything will interchange with that unit right there. The drums, the reverse drum, and everything this way will go right into that tranny there. But they did change the pump case. See how they cut this out right here for that tube? Remember my other video I showed you, that was not cut out. So if you look at the pump though, this is a later model pump. You stick that in there. They have a plug in here. Now, being this is a late model, it's got different boost valve seal and everything. So I'll just kind of give you an idea that tranny does have that hole in that pump right there, but it's plugged. But the case ain't cut out for it. The check ball locations are totally different in this unit to that one there. You remember how we talked about round hole, square hole? There's a round hole, a trough here with a square hole, no ball goes there. If you look here, actually, okay, I thought they had the gaskets on them. They don't. Okay, just looking. But you see that right there. You see here, if we get over this side, we have a round hole in this trough, but it has a trough on the other side. I'll show you. And we have a check ball here and a check ball here. Just read your shift kit information because they talk about this hole right here not being there and that you're going to be modifying it. And then here's our check ball here. Get to use one of my magic Matco screwdrivers right there. Look at that.
Yeah.
I like the magnet, guys. Like I said, I don't know how I lose them things so much. Check ball is a larger diameter. Of course, we have our accumulator piston here for intermediate. These, every one of them get replaced. Every one of them have wear. There's no reusing this. You can put a new seal on it, but if the inner bore's wore out, then the piston's going to rock and you got a big leak in the middle. So you always want to take that, clean it up, set it down there and see how bad it rocks. If it rocks really bad, then the piston's wore out. Spring. Like I said, the shift kit's going to tell you to do some modifications in that area right there too. You have this little 8mm bolt, little short one. You're going to have a check ball right here. Some of these, when you take them apart, it has a capsule that the check ball cannot come out. It's fingers that hold it in. This one here, the check ball falls out. Has to be in there. This here is your forward accumulator. When you put it in drive to go forward, this is compressed to give it a softer engagement. They still have the wave in the forward drum to soften the clutch supply too, but I guess that wasn't enough for them. Same way here, if you notice, all this is clean on top, all the trash is on the bottom. So if this sits in here for years and years, upside down, working like this, you can see how the trash would build to the bottom and wear the bore out here on the bottom. It's all going to settle. So you just want to look in here, make sure it looks good, Scotch bright it up. Same way here, check the piston for any rocking. Change it if you have to. Of course, the valve body plate's totally different than that one there. When they added the accumulator case is different. If you notice here, we have a trough, but we have another square hole, no hole at all. Sometimes they'll have a round hole and a square hole. You do not want to put a ball in there. If you look at this one, see how that round hole for this trough? See how pretty that looks? See how that don't look right? So no ball goes here, no ball goes here. You do have a ball in this trough. And in these two places, one down here and one down there.
Sorry.
Okay. Just check where all the balls beat on the plates. Make sure they're in good shape. If they're not, you can buy a repair kit or replace the plate.
Oh, there's another one.
Oh, he come to visit his buddy.
Where'd it go?
It's right on the table.
Dang. Oh, he's not happy. You better put him in the fluid. He's going to fly.
He's a different colored.
He sure is. Put some fluid on him.
he's
going to fly.
He's going to drown himself.
He's not. Yeah, you need
He
to
ain't liking it. He must got a headache. Well, you can see here that somebody already double stacked it. But look how much trash is in there.
Yeah.
And I always put 350 pump washers in here, and it'll lift it up almost flush. It'll put it right there on the verge of not or being too much. But it's just perfect. 350 pump washers. I never beat a check ball in that hole. Never. If this check ball here is missing, it's okay. Don't worry about it. You can take it out, leave it in. If I'm doing race car application or something, I always take that check ball out. I never leave the wave in back here neither. The 700 does not come with a wave in the low reverse clutch area. Well, they started putting the 4L60 and all the way up to the later versions, they started adding a wave back here for reverse engagement. Okay, this clutch only comes on in manual low and in reverse with your reverse clutch. So you got two things coming on, and they control both of them. So, if you look down in here again, like I said, somebody's been in this before. We've already seen things that tells me or signs. This TV valve right here has a spring behind it. See that it goes retreat or returns on its own. That's not normal. They did not put that in there. Your shift kit is going to come with some instructions on right here. Also, it's going to talk about this number on the end of here. Always want to remember that. Your shift kit's going to come with another spring right here. It talks about this spring in the kit. If their spring's longer, use it. If your spring's longer, use it. The shift kit Transgo was pretty cool. They did put in a pin retrieving tool. You can see it right there. You can make your own now. I've got a couple of them. Let me see if I can get it to work real quick. I'm not going to read the instructions. I guess you just stick it in here and turn it. Nope, that's not even shaped. That's not even pointed. The last one I had, it was pointed. Insert into row pin, rotate clockwise to remove row pin.
Yes, you are going to read the instructions, aren't you?
Well, but normally this is grinded to a point and this is flat on both sides, so that's not going to work until I cut the angle to stick it in there.
Oh.
It won't go in there. Because it shows it here, even in the instructions, that it's cut at an angle, and it's still squared up. And it won't go in the row pin. The center of the row pin is too small. So you can take a pair of dikes and try to grab that row pin. If sometimes you just got to be careful because it's real easy to push it down in there and never get it out.
Ta-da.
Now on our other valve body, it had a aluminum sleeve that went in here, and then this valve went in that aluminum sleeve. So when you put it together, you had to line that stuff up. Okay, but with the 4L60, and they got away from that sleeve, and now you just use a valve in the bore. She's looking at you, Teresa.
Yeah, why do you do that?
But it talks about this valve in your instructions on your Transco kit, whether to use their new valve or to use your old valve. Hey, he's mad now. Also, we talked about lockup. On the 700 right there, remember we had a lockup valve in the valve body right here. Well, if you notice, this one here has a plug. Aluminum plug has been installed right here. So if you put the check ball in the solenoid like we talked about up here, right, and you put in gear with this tranny, it would kill the motor. There's your roll pin. And it is a longer pin than the ones behind on your TV valve. Look at the difference in the length. He's begging for mercy, isn't he, Teresa?
Begging for something.
Look at him coming at me.
Yeah, kill
Come
him.
on, buddy, get over there. I know you're mad at me. Some of these are really hard to get out, but you can come over here and just kind of... You don't want to hit it on the ledge right here or anything. Just right through here. That way you don't do any damage. But it'll shove some of that. Damn, we almost touched him. Oh, he's still hanging on. Come on, get out of there. There we go. See, I was gonna take it out. I'm still gonna get it out, but it might take me a little time. So to get it out, get it all clean, put it back in. But that's an aluminum plug right there. There's no valve no more. And the later versions, they did away with this bore altogether. They didn't even bore it to put a sleeve or anything in there. You still have your 1-2 accumulator right here. Remember talking about it? This valve right here is your accumulator valve that directs fluid to your band or to your accumulator, your intermediate accumulator right here. So once you get that set up, you get this tranny working. And if you didn't like the way second gear felt, it's not so much going back to this accumulator right here. It's going back to changing the spring that you got right here beside this valve. Inside here. Transgo kit gives you 3 different springs that you can play with. Also, this valve right here, you want to really check it good because it's bad about, once you get it cleaned up and working, it's bad about sticking back. So you want to make sure this valve does function really well. Of course, you got a little cut plug right here, right at the end of it. There's that little weak spring. Like I say, Transgo kit's going to give you 3 different springs. Not really much to talk about there and anything else on that part of it. Get our mount off here. Couple different bolts there. That's a fine thread bolt. That don't even belong in the hole, so I need to straighten that out for them. It would be a metric bolt, but it would look like that. See the difference? That's too fine threaded. Wrong bolt for the hole. Hopefully the threads ain't bad or anything. Clean them up, get the right bolts that go in there. Anytime I do one of these, when I don't do carryouts, but anytime I do a carryout, I always supply these 2 bolts right here. Every time. If not, they will stick a bolt in that hole that don't belong every time. Tracer. Every time. It happens. Pull our park lever back. Turn the shaft. That way I can get to these bolts down there. Man, I really like these screwdrivers already. Need to build me something I can just stick over here somewhere to hold them.
Dang, there's another one. Sorry, guys. Not trying.
Where'd he go?
It's right there. Almost hit me in the head.
Let him come down lower and we'll give him a...
Oh, he was pretty low. Just...
Oh, he's over on the floor right there now on that hose.
Okay, step on him.
No. Uh-oh, he gave up. Joey just finally kicked the button, guys, right there.
Yeah, but he's not going to.
He's still fresh.
Right, exactly.
Oh, where'd he go? Where'd he go?
I don't know, but...
Anyway,
okay.
Wow. I thought I stepped on him, and once I picked my foot up, I didn't see him no more. I'm going, oh my gosh. Okay, we got our pump bolts here. Like I say, your kit's going to come with washers or O-rings. So if you got O-rings, you replace them. If it's got washers, replace them. But I always seal, even when I put an O-ring or a washer on there, I still put some silicone on them bolts. Every time. Do not want to leak. Of course, we got our seal retainer that will pop off. We always glue that on. Stator looks good. Input shaft looks good. The old lockup O-ring's a little shrunk there. I want to do a video on how to make lockup firmer on these units right here. A lot of people don't know how to do that. And there's only one way to do it. On the 4L60Es, there's two ways to do it. On the 700s and the 4L60, there's only one way to do it. And that one way is secretive. I want to do a video on how to firm up lockup on these units right here. The Chevelle, I firmed up lockup on it. This one here, I'm not going to firm up lockup on this because I want my overdrive and my lockup to feel normal. Second, third gear, we're going to beef it up a little bit. Come on, get out of there. Like I said, that unit there was a train wreck. Like I said, another shop in town went through it, and man, they went through that thing. It took me forever to get that right. This should be a 13 vein pump. It doesn't say 13 vein, but normally this is an early one then, because it's still got a 10 vein in it. The later versions, they did go to the 13 vein on these here. But what I was wanting to see here is I need a good pump. I went through pumps, guys. You think I went through pumps? Stators, everything? I mean, a pump nowadays, they're so expensive to buy. And I rebuilt every one of them completely. We do have a dual pump slide spring, what we want. Of course, I talked about the stainless pump rings. Anytime we go with a higher boost valve right here, we don't want to go back with a steel pump rings. If you look here, Teresa, you can see here's the steel and there's the stainless. They look totally different. Steel, stainless. And they were interchanged with each other. You just got to swap them out. Starting to see some wear here, some shiny stuff with the blue inks coming off. Our little mystery spring. And then, of course, our pivot pin. You always want to check it for wear. This is what this pivot's on. And of course, you want to look here. And this looks like a really nice pump. You can see shadows right here. See that shadow? That is nothing. That's just a shadow. Pump bushing. Let's see if they drilled it out. Get that seal out of there real quick. You always want to go sideways with these seals. That way, you're not digging in to where the seal is going to be grabbing on the edge anywhere. If you look at this hole right here, especially on the 700, it was probably that big. Little bitty hole. Your shift kit's going to talk about drilling this hole out right here. But when you drill that hole, you want to come over here and drill this hole too, because it's tiny too. If you drill this and you plug it off right here, then you're in trouble. So you have to drill here and down through here. Make sure you get it straight, because it's easy to come out the side, and it's also easy to come out through here. Very simple. Now we got this screen right here. I talked about it. You always want to replace it, but if you leave it out, this tranny will fill up with fluid. You put it in the gear, you have hardly no engagements. and that's going to be your culprit. It'll take fluid, fill it all up, and you're going, oh my gosh, I have a delay in reverse drive. And it's not just a delay, it don't want to move. You can see here on the 4L60, this is a year they changed their pump gasket. They put the little billy here on there. This gasket will go back, but that gasket will not go forward. This gasket goes all the way up to date. It's all the way up 4L60s, all the way up to date. You want to get this anchor knocked loose right here on this band before you try to take that drum out. If you don't, then the band hooks on this lip right here, and you cannot pull it out. You'll get this all cocked up, all kinds of crazy stuff, and you're going to learn words you never said before. That's your band anchor. Just an old stock, cheap old band, burn all up. That tranny there got a new reverse drum. So you always want to just check these. This is a file cabinet divider. This thing works so good. That's about the flattest drum I've ever seen, huh, Teresa? Looks really nice. But you want to check it in multiple areas all the way around. But just because this drum's flat, you want to make sure these fingers ain't spread out. So you want to just kind of look at them, spin it around. Because this whole drum, I think it's this drum right here. Look at these fingers. See how they're spread out? See how that's flush with the drum? These are pointing upward. This is, see, and that's caused by high RPM in first gear. This drum is getting it in first gear. That's why these fingers spread out. I'm not sure. I hear it's twice engine RPM that drum is spinning in first gear. So that's why they can come out and cut the case right here. Now you notice on this drum here we have no check ball. Of course this one here, 700 drum, 4L60 and on up drum, no check ball. Okay, what they did was they put a hole in the piston. Now when this bevel right here, see that bevel, when this applies and this bevel flattens out, it plugs that hole just like this check ball would do in this drum. Exact same thing. This drum here has a wave. So if you put this wave in here and try to stack it up, if you put the wave in the wrong spot, it's going to leak. When it comes on, it might leave that hole open. Now also, when they use the wave, these clutches in this drum are thicker than this drum. This drum here takes a thin clutch with the bevel. This clutch here, this drum here takes a thick clutch. This still is, I had to replace this drum in the setup to get this right. So it still has the thin clutches in it like it come. Remember me telling you that's old Fruity Tooty over there. It had everything in it that didn't belong. Okay. Bushing. All these bushings have to be replaced. These bushings, if you notice here too, small hole. Big hole. So if you get this wrong, you can have a harsh reverse because they did some restricting right here for the big hole drum. With the little hole drum, they left it here. They're big, see? So you got to be careful swapping this drum out. It will go in there. Race car applications and stuff like that, you can put it anywhere you want to because you got stall converters and stuff like that. So it doesn't matter if it has a little bit of a firm reverse. I wanted to talk about this drum today. I hope everybody watches this video really good. A lot of times people don't watch them all the way to the end, and they miss out on a lot of good stuff. Okay. These shafts are really bad about leaking around this housing right here. Spline starts getting a little bit moving. Shaft starts a little bit wobbling. Anything can happen like that. And I'll show you. This drum here hasn't been apart yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to apply fluid to the port that's going to apply the third gear clutch. Look there. Nice and tight. No bubbling. Okay, let me come over here, Teresa. Let me look at this one. I can't go through here because these drums are empty, but I can show you what it looks like if it leaks. I'm going to plug this hole. This could be the good drum, could be the bad. I'm not for sure. See that leak? See them bubbles? That shaft is leaking right there for the third gear clutch. Okay? If you come over and grab this shaft, stick it in there. We're going to do the same thing. Look at that, no leak. Okay? We're going to come over here and do this drum. Now these shafts have not been out of the drum. I just check them, and when I find I'll pull shafts out and change them with hardened shafts and stuff, but sometimes it can be a bear. Look at that one. Look at that. That's enough to burn the third gear clutch up. This one didn't leak. This one leaked. This one here is a little bit less, but it's still enough to affect the third gear clutch supply. So, and the only thing I'm doing here is I'm just applying it directly through the hole. So, but you can see this one here, I'm pressurizing it with everything installed. I come over here, we'll check it here. Come over here, check it here. No leaks around the shaft. So we're really good there. But I wanted to show you guys that that's something you need to check every time. It's easier to do it loaded than it is to do it with everything out. You can only check the third gear clutch. But you want to check this bearing right here. I'll talk about that. You can pop these open and check them. Like I say, you check for pitting or anything like here on these races, little bearings coming apart. They will pop back together real easy, so you won't damage them. Let's see if, can't tell if it's got load springs in it or not. Yeah, it does. I always put load springs back in. That 700 right there didn't come with them. It's got them in there. But they put them in upside down. The spring opening goes to the top. See how they put them in upside down? They go like that. They don't go downward. I mean, at least he put them in, I guess, and they were functioning. But they don't go that way. Spring goes to the top. Pushes on the plate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just your stock clutch pack. Like I say, the Hemi, we're going to put the 14 clutch third gear, the Z pack in there. Give it a lot better clamping. And even with when you put your Corvette servo in there, it helps your 3/4 or your 3/4 clutch too. If you notice here, I talk about the wave in the forward clutch right here. You got the wave, the steel, the clutch. Where on the 700, the clutch went against the wave and thicker clutches. But they had to go with a thinner clutch to add that steel against the wave right there. All aluminum inserts on the drum. Later versions could have pistons that are bonded. A little oil seal here. This seal right here connects the two oil circuits together. That hole right there to the hole in the center. Okay. I'm going to give my lockup. I'm going to give my lockup secret away, but I still got to do a video on it because, like I said, a lot of people don't watch these videos to the end, and then they won't figure it out what I'm doing. But anyway, the only way you can firm up lockup on a 4L60 and a 700 is to take that check ball out. That's the only way you can do it. And how I do it is I take my cutter, this right here. If you notice, there, you notice that one don't even have it. Never had one in it. I looked in there, never had one in there. The 204R transmissions don't have one either. And some of the early 700s didn't have it neither. Okay? But what I do is I'll take this cutter and I'll just cut the top of that out of there. It's real easy to do. Let me do it real quick. Put my glasses on so I don't get shrapnel. This one. That's how my works from. Basically, you can see what it looks like. You're just going to stick it down in there. You're going to wobble it around a little bit. See how it's starting to look? Okay. Won't come out yet. See how it looks now? Ball just came out. But you want to leave the body of the orifice in there. That if you take it out, to me, lockup's too firm. But if you just take that check ball out the end, just like I did right there, I'm telling you, it changes lockup tremendously. Especially if you're building a, like the Chevelle, where you got a big block and stuff like that, where you need that lockup to come on a lot firmer. Especially some of the way I build these, they can manually lock them up. And if you leave it stock, it just locks up way too soft. But if you leave that check ball out of there, boy, it makes it a little pop to it, really nice. So you really want to do that. Okay. Of course, you got your forward sprag right here. Now this is an early design. They make them where they're flat all the way across. I like the ones that are flat all the way across. The sprag is the same, but you can put a different spline body on there. You want to look in there. You want to look here, make sure there's no chatter marks or anything. You always want to replace your forward sprag. You can put it in your sun gear, take some Scotch-Brite, clean that up really nice. Same way here. You want to Scotch-Brite that up. You never want to put a new sprag on any of that shiny. Okay, get this snap ring. If you notice here, even with this 4L60, we're still not yet into the roller bearing clutch hub. Forward clutch right here, splines onto here. There's your hub here. Now we're going to go back with a bearing style. If you see here, we already have our hub and our new roller bearing. We always update every one of these we do to the roller bearing. We do away with the 4-tab washer. Whether it's your grandmother's car, it doesn't matter. Want to look at your planets really good, especially right here where your bushing runs. My other video, I talked about they make two different hubs. How to set clearances between your output shaft and your snap ring. I talked about that. So by putting a spacer under a shim. I use pinion shims out of differentials because they're so selective. So to get your snap ring where you want it to be. Still got the old soft shell in it, which we'll be updating it to the hard shell. Starting to get a little bit of spline strippage, but these are bad about breaking off right here and losing. Once this breaks off, you lose reverse and you lose second gear. You want to look at this really good. Make sure there's no pitting or anything on this ring gear, or excuse me, your sun gear. Now, when they went to the 4L60, though, they did start upgrading the lower sprag assembly and stuff too. And here's that snap ring groove I was talking about. Once you stack everything up on this shaft right here and you put this planet last one in there, you want this ledge right here to be right here. And then put your snap ring in. Okay? If it's setting below it real far, then you want to shim it up right here under this bearing a little bit to raise that planet up to where this doesn't have so much play on this shaft when it's all put together. Because this snap ring holds all that stuff together. I'll take this out right here. You want to look at this right through here, see if you're getting any signs of wear through here. And you always want to, I'm really bad about cleaning this, guys. I take everything apart. There's so much trash under here. You can just see me scrape it. There's so much trash in all these splines. If you don't take this apart and clean it, when you fire this unit up, go get it hot, that new transmission fluid is going to wash all that crud out of there. And the same way here. Get it out of it. Come on. You know what's crazy is when they started putting the hardened shell in there, and then they went to the roller bearing, they quit having wear on the shell, but then they started having severe wear in here. Not on the washer style. This thing is one hard dude right here. So you don't really ever see any wear here. But if you ever take this unit apart and it's already got a roller bearing in there, when you take that out, it's going to have a lot of wear in here on the roller bearing style. I guess they're just made too soft. I'm sure the new ones, they did something about that wear. But the same way, there's so much trash buildup in here that you've got to get all that stuff out of there. And of course, here's our wave I talk about that we get rid of on every unit we do. Now, if it's a Cadillac, you know, something grandma's driving or something, no, we leave the wave in there. But if I know this guy's going to be doing some manual shifting, then this wave is history. We're going to be stacking it up. You can't add an extra clutch, but you can stack it up with steels and get the clearance where it needs to be. Okay. Planetary, you want to check all the rollers. This little bearing down in here is the #1 killer. You want to check that bearing. Of course, you want to check your lower roller clutch right here. You can see it does have a wide one in there. That one had a wide one in it already, and we had to replace it. So you always want to replace that too. You can take this ring gear right here, or excuse me, ring gear, the inner race, put it on this planet like that, and then you can take some Scotch-Brite and you can grab that and clean that up really good with Scotch-Brite, where it's hard to hold it in Scotch-Brite. It just makes it a lot easier. There is one thing I wanted to talk about real quick too, is all these trannies are going to be getting the Sonex reinforcement kit on these forward drums. If you look here, Teresa, this is a piston here that we had machined for the steel race that is pressed onto the forward drum. If you see here, here's a piston that has not been machined. Now this piston here had a lip seal that folded over, where once you machine that out of there, you get an O-ring. So these are all going to get that, especially the ones with the big blocks. The Hemi's getting it, the Chevrolet's getting it, the Nova with the big blocks getting it. But what this does is, this right here, this spline right here, the shaft is about blowing out. And this race right here, what we do is press it on there. You can see that cutout, see that hole? That has to line up to there when you press that on there. And I found out that if you take a 400 yoke, this is no dirty yoke, but a 400 yoke, it fits up perfectly in here to butt up against that right there as a stand. Okay? And then you can take this and your forward sun gear right here for your 4060 will set right over that. Then you can use your bushing driver. I'm going to make me a better tool, but that works really well to press that race on there. If you look here. So that's going to be happening to a lot of units now. Since this has come out, a lot of people can't afford billet drums and billet shafts and all that stuff, but if you got the right builder that can look at the vehicle, know about what it's doing, he can pretty much figure out, well, what you need, what you don't need, and stuff like that. So anyway, guys, I want to thank you for watching. I want to always thank Miss Teresa for recording, because I know this has probably been another long video. She's still got her little brace on there, which is helping her, which I think we need to get something else. And Annie, you're always hanging out, ain't you, girl? She's so pretty, guys. We just couldn't do nothing without her. But I want to thank you again. Happy New Year. Thank goodness 2026 is here, and we are going to have some fun this year. Have a fabulous day.